Hi guys, and welcome to the Cambridge Creatives Q&A with Mathieu Kassovitz. I'm Hannah, founder and co-president of Cambridge Creatives.
And I'm Sasha, the projects officer. Thank you for supporting Cambridge Creatives. We are a student-run creative collective, and we're curating a series of talks with world-renowned professionals in TV, film and theatre. So please follow our Facebook page to find out more about future events and opportunities. Just a couple of housekeeping rules before we begin. If you have any questions for our guest speaker, please type them into the Q&A function, not the chat. You should be able to see it at the bottom of your screen. Bear with us if there are any technical difficulties and let us know in the chat if there are any problems hearing or seeing us. Enjoy the Q&A.
Just a little introduction for our guest today. Mathieu is an icon of modern cinema, working as a director, screenwriter, producer, editor, and actor. He is the winner of 3 César Awards for his work in See How They Fall and winning a Best Editing and Best Film for his seminal film, La Haine. La Haine has received widespread critical acclaim and has a Rotten Tomatoes approval rating of 100% from critics. The film is still so powerful and relevant today, having just passed its 25th anniversary. As a director and screenwriter, Mathieu has also worked on films like The Crimson Rivers and Métisse, and as an actor, he is most known for his role as Nino in Amelie, Malotru in The Bureau, and Napoléon in War and Peace. Mathieu is also founder of the production company MNP Entreprise and is a leader in contemporary cinema. We are really honoured to have this renowned filmmaker speak. So my first question for you is, when did you know that you wanted to work on screen or in film, and what role appealed to you first? Directing, writing, or acting?
Hello, everybody. So I'm born cinematographer. I'm born in the movie industry. My father was a director, a TV director, and he directed a couple of features. And my mother was an editor. They met on the shoot. All they were talking, all they were doing was movies. That was my life. When I wasn't with my father somewhere on a shoot, I was with my mother playing with the films in the editing room. So I was born for that. So at 12 years old, I was already directing my first shorts with Super 8 and some friends from school, and then from there. It became from a hobby, it became a passion, and from a passion, it became a job.
And what were the key things that you learned when you were on set with your parents? Was there anything specific which you picked up on, which you now continue to use in your filmmaking today?
Yeah, everything. My father my parents were very good at what they were doing. So they were, they could teach me well. They could teach me with passion. They could teach me with a sense. My father was very good with, one shots, and was very ethical in the way he was directing and the way he was talking to the actors. You have to finish on time because you have to respect the crew. All these things that, when I was running, jogging with him every Sunday, and I was cutting a little bit, it was like, you don't cut, you do what you have to do. You don't make it easy. You make it hard. So that was the philosophy at home, and that was the way he taught me, and that's the way he made me look at movies. Him and her also, the way they made me. She was more into politics and to revolution, but he was more into really about how to use the camera as a tool.
So do you think your films are really like a mixture of both of their expertise, like the style?
Yeah, it has the political strength of my mother, and it has the director skills of my father. Yeah, but I upgraded it. At least I upgraded, not the political stance, because she was more hardcore than I am, but I adapted. My father learned how to direct movies by being directly involved in 1960s Nouvelle Vague in France. So they saw Godard's movie the week they were released, you know. So they were learning at it was invented. So, but when I learned, I had the chance to have people like Martin Scorsese and Coppola and Steven Spielberg that learned from the Nouvelle Vague and came with a cinema that was more appropriate for me. So but my father, I remember the first time my father really showed me a movie, because we were one of the first one on the block to have a VHS. He showed me Jaws, and he said, listen, this movie is rated. You know, it was rated for 12 or 13 years old. I was 11 or something like that. So he said, you shouldn't see that, but look at it and tell me what you see. And at the end, I was looking, I watched it like 5 times. And at the end, I was like, shit, there is no sharks. And then I learned the story about the shark, you know, that the shark didn't work, so he couldn't do what he wanted to do. So, but I was like, okay, you can really suggest things with music, with rhythm, with the camera work and the editing. So that was the base of my work as a director.
And then you went on to make your first feature film, Métisse, in 1993, also known as Cabriolet. What inspired you to make this film? What was the story that kind of really got your attention? What was it about that that made you want to tell that story?
Actually, I was living with that woman, the girl that was that's in the movie. She was my girlfriend. So, and the story was inspired by my life and by the fact that I was hanging out with a lot of, you know, I was hanging out in the hip hop movement back in the days when it started. And so it was all kind of mix of colors, of race, of everything, religion, everything, you know, class, everything. And so I knew that I wasn't racist, but I asked myself, what if a black guy would get my girl at the same time as I am, as me, and me acting like a black kid, and because I was in that movement, you know, and what if a black guy acting like a white kid would how would you transfer that you know, that stereotype? And how would people react if you say that there's a woman in the middle and all of a sudden you have to face the other one in a different way? So it just it was a way for me to you know, to yeah, just tell a love story. And also I was inspired by Spike Lee, and I was inspired by Woody Allen a lot. I stole a lot of things from Spike Lee for that movie. The concept of the movie, it's there, but I didn't steal it. I was really inspired by it. Also, I was on a bike all day. I was very close to what Mars Blackman was in his, you know, in the Spike Lee movie. So it became something very natural, and it started something in my head going like, you have to do what you have to do now. You cannot just be an AD for, you know, I was an AD for a long time. I was a third AD, second AD. I was a very bad first AD. And then I decided, I said I had to move my ass and just do the things. These kids are like, they're 25, 20, 22, 23 years old. Luc Besson was, you know, did his first movie at the same time. And all these guys were geniuses. So they inspired me to do my own thing.
You say the story was partly based on your real life. Was that the kind of reasoning behind casting yourself in the film? And how did you kind of retain perspective and distance when you were directing yourself?
Yeah, you don't need distance when you're directing yourself. You need to know what you're doing, and you need to just you know, just have fun. But I was inspired again by directors that were also acting in their movies. Spike Lee was, Woody Allen, of course. It's, you know, and it's a roundabout, you know, inspiration in art never comes from, you have to be a genius to create something that nobody created before. Spike Lee was inspired by Woody Allen. Woody Allen was inspired by I say shit, now I'm stuck, but by somebody that was inspired. It's around about you come, so you just take things that you like from your life that you could relate to Woody Allen movies or to Spike Lee movies because it's your personal life, so you can steal things from them, you know, take it and use it in a different way. The good thing is what if you take something from somebody, then you have to enhance it. You cannot lower the bar. You have to make it higher, and you have to show him that that's what you should have done.
And you talk a lot about all of these filmmakers that you look up to, like Spike Lee and Woody Allen. To you, what is the role of a filmmaker, and what do you kind of try and pride yourself on being as a filmmaker? Is it to kind of entertain people, to shock people? Is it to spread a kind of political message about what you believe in? Like, what's the most important thing to you?
All of it at the same time. As again, I was raised by hip hop. Really, it's something that has nothing to do with my family or my. It became a passion, and the people that were in that environment became my friends, and so hip hop. The base of hip hop is that it's art, it's fun, but you come out of the dance floor smarter than when you got in. That's the idea of hip hop. That's the idea of rap. So when you make a movie, it's so painful to make a movie. It's so difficult. When you really like your job and you really want to do it with ethics and consciousness, you have to put something more than just entertain people, and that's hip hop. So when I did my movies, from my first short movie, it was hip hop. It was just little songs or full album of a story that was told with consciousness, with fun, and because it's the only way you can learn is when you have fun. If you're not having fun, if it's painful, you cannot learn anything. You cannot accept anything. So you have to make it entertaining first, so that you can bring all the depth after, and people can ingest it and digest it, and so that's what I do. That's what I love to do.
In that respect of the role of the filmmaker, do you have any advice for student filmmakers about if they want to follow in your footsteps, or what should they do? Should they go to film school? Should they learn by doing? Yeah, what's your top tip?
They should quit school. That's what they should do. Quit school, keep your money for something more, buy some stuff, and go make movies. Now, the good thing today is that technology is so accessible that you can make I'm not going to say it, but yeah, you can make a movie for $1,000. So you don't need. My dream is to make a movie with semi-pro materials, equipment that you can buy at any shop, because you can actually do that and do a fucking amazing movie with that. It has nothing to do with technology. The fact is that now not only it's easy for you to make a movie and make it look good, but it's also easy to put it out in the world. So there is no real reason to wait for anything. The only thing that you need is talent and balls. Yeah, I'm talking for men and girls. You need to have them, because it's just you need to take the risk. You're not going to eat every day. You're not going to have good critics. You might find that you're not good at it, and it's a fucking terrifying journey, because you're facing yourself, especially when you're auteur and director. When you write your own stuff that you're going to direct after, it's very painful, because you're facing your own lack of talent, for the best word I can come up with. Every day by yourself, in front of the computer, and then you have to face it again when you're shooting your own stuff and you're looking at what you wrote and you're like, this is the best I can do. But now you have to do it and you have 8 hours to do it. And everybody's looking at you like, okay, let us show how genius you are. And then you have to put it together in the editing room, where it's always very painful also because it never works. And then you have to show it to people. And then you have to live with it for the next, if you're lucky, if people remember it, you have to live with it for a long time. But if they don't, then you have to, you're going to put all this energy, and then 6 weeks later, nobody will remember it. So it's a painful journey. You have to really be passionate about it. But if you are, and if you have a minimum of talent and a minimum of education on the field that you're practicing in, then you should be able to get your shit out and to make it happen. But you have to stop going to school.
And then moving on to Haine, which I'm sure is why many people are watching. You talk about being a writer, and how did you come up with the idea for the script? I've heard you talk about the fact that the final scene was what kind of made you write it, and how did you kind of choose that moment and then work back from that when you were creating the script?
I guess that you're talking about Haine.
Yes.
It was a true story. We had like I was actually, what I was doing, I was finishing a movie, or I was working at something, and I was driving, and I heard on the radio that there was a riot in the center of Paris, in one of the neighborhoods in Paris. And I was right there, and I went there, and they had a police brutality. Like a cop killed a kid in the police precinct while the kid was, handcuffed on a chair, and so there were some people, they were rioting, but not a riot, just like more sitting. There were the families of the people, and there were the brother, and it was very intense, but nothing bad. And then I was walking around, and I saw people that I knew from the street, from the life that I was living, and there was a few guys, and all of a sudden I started to listen to the cops and the way they were talking, and I overheard them saying, okay, let's get rid of everybody. And I was like, this is not the way to do it, because the only way to do it when you fucked up like that is to shut the fuck up and let them go, let them express their pain. Nobody's going to burn anything if you let the people express their pain. And there was just the families. They were sitting in front of the police precinct, and they would spend the night. They would have spent the night. That's the worst that would have happened. They would have spent the night, sing songs, and go home. But they decided to clean the place, and they decided to do it with violence. And they created a riot that I saw in the news at night when I went back, where that was a justification for, oh, these guys are savages, so that kid that got killed probably was a savage also. Okay, so all that was like, this is not right, this is not the way to do. And because I was hanging out with these kids all the time, I said, this is something I have to talk about. And I knew the kids, so they're not percentage, they're real people. And if I can get people to understand and to know them the way I know them, then next time one of them will die from a police brutality, then people will be concerned, because they will see that they can be their sons or their daughters, So I knew the end of the movie right before. The end of the movie was what I was writing for, against. A guy gets killed at night. He woke up in the morning, didn't do anything really bad, and gets killed at night. And also the cop. How come a cop can wake up in the morning and kill someone in a police precinct at night? What happened? So I studied all that, but with the point of view of the kids. So because my father didn't know these people, he was always wondering why I was hanging out with these guys, and I had to show him and the rest of the world that there are people.
speaking of that kind of authenticity and wanting to show the real version, not the news version, was that part of the reasoning for why you cast so many like real people and local people, to kind of like maintain an integrity in these stories and have them told by the people who lived these experiences?
No, it's more that, you know, like Ken Loach taught us that the real people are the best ones to be the witness of their own stories, you know, and the teller of their own stories. So of course, you know, I never cried so much than when I saw Lady Bird. You know, she's not a professional. She's a real person. So of course, if you can get that kind of level, but that's not what I was aiming at, because I didn't want to do the movie with real street kids, with real talk, with the way they were, because it's too much. It's too aggressive. It's too ghetto. It's too close to. You know, we were thinking even with the lingo, the way people talk, we have to let people in. We cannot just talk the way we talk really in the street, because we have to let people who don't know how to, the way we talk, to get in, to understand what we're saying. Because at that time, we're like, the jive that we're using was like, that was meant for people who didn't know about it not to understand, because that's what you know it is. That's what slang is for, so that cops and people around don't know what your fuck you're talking about. So we had to open it and make it a little more accessible. And also I used Vincent Cassel, who's not a kid from the street, and the movie is not representative of the ghettos and the projects, because it's too stylistic. It's you know, it's fable. And it's a comedy. There's a Jew, there is a Muslim, there is a Christian working together and, you know, doing their things together. It's white, brown, and black. It's very idealistic, but also I wanted to make a movie about that environment, those people that we didn't know about, not a specific group. So that's why black and white was more you know, makes it more like an archive, more than you know, just the news. So when you look at it as black and white, it's like you're looking at like an art picture. You know, it's encrusted in time, and it's timeless. So that's why I did that. But so I didn't look for the rest of the people around. Yes, of course, there are people from the project, because it's cheaper and it's easier, and that's the way we could get people to let us work. So we can, you know, we make the neighborhood work, and we got them to work with us, and they let us work with them.
And I guess kind of with now there seems to be such a kind of boom in identity conscious casting, and maintaining authenticity and who tells stories. You've often been credited with creating the kind of banlieue genre of film. Do you feel that that has kind of been lost over the years, or do you feel kind of a responsibility to make sure that the authenticity of these stories is maintained?
Now there is no identity of ghetto movies. Each one of them are different, and there is not a better one than the others. There's a few classic that we all know about, but there's no one way of telling the story of the ghetto, or story of youth. You know, there's many ways. I did mine. I think it's the best one. but you know, I was inspired by all these amazing movies. Do the Right Thing, again, Spike Lee, you know, and English cinema, fuck, you know, Bloody Sunday, all these movies that inspired me to do this. So I inspired also other movies after. We have movies like Les Miserables, but there is no other, nobody tried to do La Haine, like, you know, to use no, it's a movie more than a ghetto movie. And there is no identity for street movies, hopefully, so that there is many kind. And no, I don't think it's lost. I think it's emerging. You know, we're 25 years old, but it takes a generation to assimilate what we did and just come up with the new stuff. So I think it's going to come up. I think it's going to be big. I think, you know, now that people understand that there is money to be made with that audience, it's a given. So we just need filmmakers now, and people with ideas and to push the envelope and to come with different stuff, you know. The kids that are working with Lajli are, you know, coming up with some crazy new kind of movies. So there is no limits. The good thing in the street is that it creates a lot of amazing creative people that if you just give them just the spark, they will explode. So so that's the street is this is where you get real creativity, I think, more than the schools. I'm sorry, I'm at it again, but I'm very, you know, you got to be in a very good school with a very good teacher to make it interesting and to make it worthwhile, or else there is no better school than the real world, and take your own risks. But if you have the best teacher, and maybe not the best teacher in the world, but the best for you, yes, of course. And then you can meet people, then you can create a team with, and you can do things. So that's why schools are very important, and Cambridge is, of course, is not a bad one. So so I imagine that you are, but this is not where you can, you know, schools, you don't make filmmakers in school. You make technicians in schools.
Speaking of Lajli and his school and Les Miserables, were you involved in any of the discussions in pre-production or production or even post-production? And what did you think, having watched the film? Did you feel like it was kind of like we were saying, a sibling of La Haine?
No, I didn't participate at any stage of his movie. No. Yeah, he has the same fucking ending. I was like, what? Same ending. I'm like, okay. I told him, I was like, you should have pushed further, because why would you have the same ending as La Haine, where, you know, two people are aiming at each other, who's going to shoot, and you cut? I couldn't say that who shot who at the end of La Haine. The last gunshot you hear in La Haine, you don't know who killed who. That's the whole purpose of the movie. It's like, what's next? Okay. So when he came up with Les Miserables and I saw the same ending, I was like, shit, man, you're from the ghetto. You can say it. You can say, we are going to kill the cops, or the cops is going to kill us. You can say it because you are from there. I'm not. So I could not take that stance. I have to leave it on an intellectual level. You could have made it like political. And he said, I shot it. He shot the end. He shot an ending. I was like, why didn't you fucking put it in? And he said, because it was like, it was a little too much. I was like, okay, I understand. But that's what I expect. I would have loved him to push further, because it would have shocked people. You know, and it would have bring back bring back the discussion about it, because the movie was so successful that the political aspect of it was washed out a little bit, you know. But now also, you know, the projects are more incorporated in lifestyle, so it's less the shock than it was when we came out. That's why I think you should have just gone all the way.
And when you were talking about the ending, when you were writing that ending, did you have in mind who shot who? Was that something you can?
No, that's not. It's not. The problem is not to. Movies are not here to give you answers. They're here to ask you questions. You come out of a movie with questions. You know, that's what makes you smarter, not answers. Answers, you'll get them by yourself if you ask the right questions. But if I give you answers, you'll be like, answers for you, not for me. So you have to live your own experience. I just leave it up there because I want, but that's why I also largely wanted to do. But you know, you leave it up there out there so that people go out. It's like, what happens? It's like you decide what happens because it's your lifestyle. It's the way you're going to interact with people next to you in the subway. You know, tomorrow that will change the ending of a movie, and it will decide who kills who, or maybe nobody kills nobody.
Was that kind of like the reasoning of having such a specific style that sort of challenged the audience or made them ask questions or left things ambiguous and up to their own interpretation? How did you kind of use the mise en scène or the music or the editing in particular is so stylistic? How did you use all of that to tell your narrative and your political message?
You saw the movie.
I know, but
analyze it and just analyze it and dissect it. No, I don't like to use music because music is cheating. It's very easy to get people to cry or to follow any kind of emotions with a string of a violin or anything. So I try not to cheat because I don't want any fucking musicians to claim half of my talent. I'm very, if you can't get emotions with your camera and you need to edit on music like Tarantino does or things like that, because you even have the music on the set, then, you know, half of the scene goes to Buddy Holly, you know, because why would you fucking, you know, it's not yours. It's you took somebody else's rhythm. So I don't like music because even if you edit without music, music is such a trick. Look at any Instagram video. You cry, and you hear that fucking like song every time, and it's like, I will find you, I will, yeah, and there's a little cat and you cry. So I don't want to use it in a 2-hour movie that costs, you know, millions of dollars, because I think that we should respect the audience more than that. But at the same time, I'm just saying, it's bullshit, because the best directors always work with the best composers, and the two of them make the best movies ever. Starting with Chaplin. Chaplin did his own movies and music, and goes to, you know, Nino Rota and Fellini and Scorsese and Bernard Herrmann and Spielberg and Williams. So it's but yeah, I try not to, because when you make a political movie, it's not the same thing as doing entertainment. When you do entertainment, yes, okay, you want to scare people, you have to have, you know, the big bang, of course. But when you have to make people think, try not to cheat them too much.
That's really interesting. And I guess that being said, you do use music, or we see the characters listening to music throughout the film, kind of as part of their environment. What was your approach to choosing the music that they were listening to? Like, for example, when the DJs kind of DJing throughout the estate, what, like, for those kind of moments, how did you choose what the characters?
There was music that we listened to, music from, you know, nobody listened to hip hop back in the days in the projects. It was very specific. It was more, you know, all the R&B and funk. So that's what we used. And, you know, of course, Bob Marley at the beginning, we were very, very lucky to get that song without paying for it, because they didn't know it was before they started to use his music over and over again. And that song was fucking perfect. You know, Burn and Loot was so exactly what I wanted to express, that that's the only song I had in mind when I started to do the movie. And I knew that I wanted to start with that. The rest, no music, keep it raw, and use the music from the environment. Yes, yes, of course. There is actually 2 soundtrack of the movie, music inspired by like just 2 albums of hip hop, and the music in the movies, but they are not score. There are ways to trick the audience, but really, I love to watch a movie and go like after 10 minutes going like, shit, there is no music. And I'm still in it, and I'm like, wow, that means the guy has talent. The actors are good, the script is amazing, dialogues are amazing, and directing is amazing. If you don't have music, then what you see on the screen is good. With music, you don't really know. With music, you don't really know. You have to look at it again and go, okay, I got tricked.
That's very true. Speaking of the script, and there are some iconic lines, what was your intended meaning of the iconic phrase? I'm going to say it in English. So far, so good. It's not the fall that matters, it's the landing.
That's not mine. That's a joke for my father first. It's a story of a guy who falls and goes like, it's a Jewish joke. But actually it's a joke from, I think it's from Once Upon a Time, the Revolution. I think I think it's at the beginning of, it's a joke that is stated in one of Ennio Morricone's, not Ennio Morricone's, what's his name, the director. We did Once Upon a Time in America and all these movies.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you don't have it. Anyway, so yeah, it was a known joke, but it fitted perfectly. You know, every time I heard that joke from my father, I was like, this is not a joke. This is the society we live in. You know, because what's funny is that 30 years ago, they told us, you're not 30 years old, but 30 years ago, they told us every day on TV that in 30 years, it will be the end of the world, and we will have pandemics, and we'll have the ice melting and all that bullshit. And we're in it right now. We're in it right now. So why was I saying that? Why did I bounce on that? Because
the quote, or no?
Now, why did I bounce on 30 years ago?
Oh, from the movies before, then the joke and your father, or?
Yeah, no, and I thought it was really a joke that told a lot about our society. Is that we're falling, we know we're falling, and we know we're going to hit the ground. There is no other way, but you know, so far so good. Yeah. And I think that also, you know, the landing is that's the worst part, and we're in it right now.
Definitely.
That's why the movie is still relevant, because of that joke, almost, because people saw it, and when they see it today, they're like, oh fuck, this is exactly where we are.
And you talk about
your parents, which is my friends, my sibling, my next of kind, should have listened. We should have listened, because it was, they told us it was going to be like that, and it is. Anyway, don't want to fuck up your Wednesday night.
No, it's good food for thought, definitely. How do you feel about the fact that now, I mean, Laine is used as almost, it's kind of the poster film of what we study at school. It's kind of our introduction into French society. Did you ever see that being the case? Was it your intention to have this kind of educational message? Kind of, how do you feel that this is how the UK is given an introduction to French society and cinema at school?
You English people are twisted. You could have chosen Amélie, or you could have chosen any other movies, but you chose this one. I think you can relate to it because it's very close to the problems that you had in England, and you had the same movies. You had movies like that were like so iconic, from made in England, made in Britain, made in Britain or made in England? Made in Britain.
Yeah.
The Tim Roth movie where he has the swastika on his forehead. You know, again, Bloody Sunday and all these political movies that were so strongly incorporated in English society, you know, in British society. So you can, of course, I knew that movie would be very well accepted here. I didn't know the movie would be there for so long, but I knew that we would have a, you know, English kids would get it. Like New York kids would get it, like Italian kids would get it, like Mexican kids would get it. Any kids from any street would get that movie. That's why the movie is black and white. That's why the kids are representative of many aspects. It's not a real movie. It's not real people. It's there for everybody to find a place to say, okay, this is something I can relate to without, you know, without being stuck in a special environment. It's art. It's like a movie. It's not just a ghetto movie, and people could just see into some. It's more universal than if you know. So that's why that's the work that's what I wanted to do. So I got it. I'm very surprised and very happy, but I can say that I wouldn't expect less, but I do that with all my movies, but that's the only one I had luck with. So,
well, yeah, we have all watched it, I'm pretty sure. Moving from the political to the fantasy and Amelie, how did you become involved? I heard you walked on set and then were cast. How did you become part of this cast?
Yeah, Jean-Pierre Jeunet Caro and Jeunet, the two directors, were a big part of my education. When I was a teenager, I was addicted to heavy metal, not the music, but the comic books that were created in France by the most amazing artists ever, from Mobius to Bilal. All these guys that worked after with on Alien, with Ridley Scott, all these guys, they were doing like cartoons in like very science fiction. You know heavy metal. You know what heavy metal is? No, you don't. Fuck, shit, damn. Heavy metal was a cult comic book. Not comic book. It was more like a news, like every month, with amazing art from amazing artists. Corben. Check that out on the internet. Métal Hurlant was the French title. They did 2 movies, but all the best people at that time was doing that. The best writers, everybody. That was crazy. So I was addicted to that. And Caro was doing art and doing some crazy stuff. And Jeunet did the short movies created from his art. And the first short films that they did was called Le Bunker de la Dernière Rafale. And they did a whole book with all the shots of the movie. And the movie it's like 5 guys with shaved head. It's black and white. It's no sound. And they are like in a bunker, and they find a clock, and the clock, it's 99999. And there's a button. They push the button and it goes 8, 7, and they don't know what's going to be at the end. And they go crazy. They all kill each other. And at the end, it goes 0, 99999, and it stops. And waits for the next batch of people come in. It's like, but it was 45 minutes long, black and white, shot in 16 millimeter with no money. And that was the first science fiction movie I saw made by kids from like me. So these two guys were like my mentor without them knowing it, all the way to me going to spend some time on the sets when they started to do feature movies, and I was an AD at the time, or I had directed my first movie. I went to be an extra for a week on La Cité des Enfants Perdus, because I wanted to see the set and I wanted to see how they work, but I don't like to go and just sit in the back and just be like, it's boring to do that when you're on a set, so you have to work. So I came in as an extra, and they saw me and they were like, what the fuck are you doing here? And I was like, you're inspired me all my life, so I just want to see how you work. So I think it stuck to him, and they say, they knew that they needed also, it's good to have an actor that loves what you do, so that he's not going to mess with you. And this is exactly what happens, that he could ask me anything he wanted, I would have done it. I finished shooting the Crimson Rivers at Le Mont Blanc in the mountain on a Friday night. I took my car and I drove all the way to Germany, and we started to shoot on Monday morning.
Wow.
That's things it's a good thing. It's like, it was good energy, really good energy, and you could feel it that once you were there on the set, even from the first day of shoot, we knew that this guy. I told him the only thing, because he was very. I met with him after when they asked me to do the movie, and I said, you're very. What you do is beautiful, but there is no emotions in what you do. And say, yeah, read the script. I read the script. I whipped like the whole script. I laughed. I was like, if you can do this, you have a hit. And they fucking did it. Yeah. He fucking did it, because there's no cow in that movie. But
yeah, it sounds like you had a very kind of emotional response to it. And how was it for you, kind of, first of all, acting, and then secondly, acting as a lot more of a kind of romantic, gentler character than I guess you've been dealing with before in Haine? What was that kind of challenge like for you?
I don't care. I don't even remember. The good thing by being an actor when you work with good directors is that you see them work. Like, you cannot be close. It's like being a referee in a heavyweight boxing fight. There's the best seat. So when you're an actor and you can work with directors that you love, who cares what you do? Again, he could have asked me to do anything. I don't remember. I don't care. He got me. There is no lines. I don't think there is any lines in that fucking movie. It was just me, like, looking left, looking right. So yeah.
Sounds like a really fun process. Moving on to probably one of the most recent projects, the Bureau. How did you become involved, and I guess kind of like this passion of working with amazing people, was that another reason for getting involved in seems like a really collaborative process?
First thing, stop asking actors how did they get involved. They get involved because somebody called them. That's what being an actor is. You just wait that somebody wants you, and then you hope that somebody is talented and that the part that he's offering you is good. So when you have that in your hand, it's something that it's very precious. It's very seldom. That's why I don't like to be an actor, because it's horrible to find yourself in the middle of a shoot going like, what the fuck am I doing here? And when you do a TV series, it's even, we're talking about the Bureau, right? Okay. It's even more, risky, because you don't want to be stuck with these people for the next few years of your life and being miserable because you don't like what you do. So funny thing, I was working with Canal Plus, wanted me to do they asked me, I came to London and I had a dinner with two English writers and showrunners, and they had a TV show. They wanted to do a show that shouldn't have been done and wasn't done. I don't think they ever did it. But I was so upset with the guys and trying to trick us to do something that was not going to be good. And I almost got in a fight with one of the writer. And I remember I came out, I was like, you know, I'd love to be involved for a few years into something good, but you can't do that just for money. You can't. I came back home, I was really pissed, and I got problems with the producer because they said that I was not professional in it. I was like, what? And then 2 weeks later, I was offered Le Bureau. And I heard, and I was like, tell the guys that I'm not, because it was also Canal Plus. So I told them, no, I'm not difficult. I want to do this one. Because when I read the script, when I read the story, the storyline, the whole thing, just the character's name, my character's name, Malotru, which I don't know how you can translate it in English, called obnoxious. That's my name. So when I read that, I was like, I'm in. And then I got really lucky. It's really, I got really lucky. You know, actors get lucky. It's not, you can have all the talents in the world. If nobody gets you and gives you the job that where you can express it, then you're not. You know, De Niro is good, not because he's De Niro, he's good because of fucking Scorsese. Because Scorsese got him to become De Niro. No?
Yeah.
That's my theory. Directors are on top, then you have actors, then you have producers.
And speaking of that, you've directed 6 episodes of the series. How do you find the different challenges?
I didn't direct anything.
Oh, sorry, that's my bad.
No, I directed, you know, when you're doing a show like that, you direct. I told them, listen, I'm on the set, I'm bored. You don't need a director, I can do that. So I directed a couple of scenes where I'm in, and it allowed them to send their other directors on some other set to do some other scenes. Oh. But you're not in control of the editing, you're not in control. They were very pissed at me because I tried to do art when they just needed some, you know, they just need to have multiple angles so they can edit it the way they want.
I guess IMDb gave you a full credit. Moving on to the future, and then we'll get on to some Q&A questions. We've asked this question to all of our guests, and so we're going to ask it to you too. How do you think the TV and film industry can improve its diversity and representation? And do you think it's improved since you began your career?
Yes, of course, it improved, and it's going to improve with the years. It's not that people are being smarter or being nicer with each other. It's just that it's just arithmetics, and you know, there is more offer. You know, back like 5 years ago, if you wanted to go see a movie, you had to go see a movie. Now you have 20,000 million movies at your fingertip that you don't even know. You spend more time trying to choose one than to watch them, right? So there's so many opportunities today to make movies and to talk to all kind of different people, that because everybody wants to, you know, Netflix is what the good thing with Netflix is that they don't have an editorial line saying that we need to make movies like that. When you go see a producer, the producers know, I don't do things like that in my movies. You know, so you have to go see a different producer for a different kind of movie that you want to do. Netflix don't give a shit. Netflix, you can do hardcore, you know, violence, or you can do kitties in the, you know, in the spring. They always have a group of people for that, you know, that will pay $15 every month. So it's a very good thing. But because of that, there is so many options and so many ways to make movies. Then of course there is more opportunities for different kind of actors to get in, different kind of subject, different kind of you know, everything. So the more the merrier, but doesn't make everybody talented. So then you have to decide what is talent, what is good, what is, then that's when school is important, because school, if you didn't go to, either you go to school or you spend all your day in the theater and you watch movies and you watch them again and you watch them again and you study one scene and you keep on studying and you try to figure out where was the physical, where was the camera at that moment, how did the actor went from here to there, the camera is big, they have tracks, I don't see the tracks, how did they do that? That's how you learn movies. That's how you learn about the ethics of what make, and also why people do that and why it touched you and what tricks did they use. You have to study that either in school or being very naughty boy and naughty girl and go to the movies every day for the all your teenage years. So that's when you can gain enough knowledge to judge, to see something and judge it from other stuff that was made before. If you didn't see Soy Cuba, did you see Soy Cuba?
It's on my list now.
Number one on your list. Number one. That movie will blow your mind. It was made in the 60s or late 50s, communist movie. It will blow your mind. Smoke a joint before and enjoy it. But you will look at movies that were made after, movies that you love, that you were built on. You were like, shit, they stole it. They stole everything from that. So you need to have that knowledge. Once you have that knowledge, you can decide what's good and what's not from your perspective, what is art, what's not. And then you can, as an artist, as a technician, you can do your stuff by stealing again from people. You have to be you're not fucking Michelangelo. If you are, then please marry me. But if you're not, then you have to, like the rest of us, you have to work hard and you have to be inspired by good people like you, like yourself. So yeah.
That's great. And now moving on to the Q&A questions. Somebody anonymous has asked, and I guess this kind of links back to what you were saying about kind of growing online streaming services like Netflix. What do you feel about the kind of current trend of American remakes of French films? And how would you feel if there were to be an American remake or Hollywood remake of La Haine or one of your other films?
I would get paid. It's not a trend. It's been like that forever. They always redid French movies from the get-go. They did Breathless, the Godard movie that is unremakeable. They redid it from back in the 80s. So yeah, they never stop. Hollywood is looking for great stories. So when they see that there's a franchise on a great story, they just buy it, and then they redo it. They don't. It never works. It works. They make their money back, but it never surpasses. It never goes beyond with the original one. But yeah, it's been like that all the time. They cannot redo La Haine because La Haine is so specific to Europe. They cannot do that in America. The specific about the gun and the way. No, they have their own stuff. It's not the same way of life.
Another anonymous attendee has asked, how problematic do you think the dialectic is between the center and periphery in Paris, even 25 years on?
Oh, there's none. I have a 10-year-old kid here that speaks slang like a fucking hoodlum. So it's in the language. It's not there's no on the contrary, it's a little too much, but hip hop, again, it's hip hop, because hip hop brought that kind of, broke the barrier of languages with rap and songs, and because everybody adapted. There's not one songwriter today that is not inspired by rap artists. So there is no barrier anymore. It's just one big thing, and it's just opportunities need to be taken. It's not that nobody's going to give you anything to to do. You have to take it. So it's been 25 years. You're the new generation. If you don't do it, then we're not going to do it. We're out. We made our living. We paid our bills. Now we just want to be quiet and die in silence. I'll do like once like that every couple of years. That will keep me young, but that's it.
And somebody has also asked, this is an anonymous attendee as well, is the circularity of Haine pointing to the fact that there will always be animosity and violence in society? And then linking to another question, somebody's also asked, are you disheartened by the continued relevancy of it? And is that something that you predicted? I guess maybe that ties in with what you were saying about the quotes so far so good as well.
If you want to see a movie about what a violent society is and what it becomes, I suggest two movies I did, called the one that I did right after Haine, called Assassins. But it's very difficult to find. I'm going to try to read it 4K version, because it's a beautiful movie. Very, 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 very violent, very gore, very too much, but for a reason. So that movie is way more interesting on that level than Haine for me. Haine is a comedy. It's not such a political movie. It's a comedy. So that's how I got into people's art. The movies that I did after were not comedies. And if you're not involved, if you're not totally involved in these problems, then you don't want to spend 2 hours being, being subjected to what I subject the audience in Assassins. And the other one is the last one, L'Ordre et la Morale, Rebellion, also talks about that society. So yeah, that's. But I know the question was about.
It was about whether or not you feel kind of disheartened by the fact that it continues to be relevant today.
Yeah, that's yeah. You're not going to solve the world with a movie. So I thought when we released the movie, I was like, if everybody in the world sees that movie twice, and they talk about it for years, then maybe we can save the world. But it didn't happen. So then you learn that you cannot save the world with a movie, even if you try really hard. What you can do is inspire young generations to do the same. They will not, you guys will not see within your lifetimes the changes that you want to make. You will not see them. But it doesn't mean that you have to stop or stop believing or stop doing them, because there is a very simple mathematical rule. If you're not there, if you don't do it, if it's not done, then it's not done. So you have to take that space. You have to do what you have to do. We didn't save the world from what they told us 30 years ago, but we did a lot of things. We did a lot of things that slowed our fall. We have a parachute, but we're still falling. So it's not like we didn't do the job. We all put our little stone, and you still have to do it, but you will not see the result of your struggle during your lifetime. What you struggle for, not for you, you struggle for your kids and for your grandkids. But it's very hard, difficult to look at something where you put all your energy and go like, fuck, it's still there 25 years later. Of course, it's always going to be there. It's always going to be there. But you can, change the mentalities, the way people look at it, and that's one generation at a time. So all I can hope for is that people will bounce on that movie and again and again, and generation after generation. That's how you stay relevant.
Definitely. I think we've got so many Q&A questions, but I think we can probably only do. Are you happy to do 2 more?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. We have one question on the Bureau. Why do you think, like, what do you think is so unique about it, and why do you think it's been labeled one of the best TV series of the past decade? Is it kind of similar to what you were saying about reflecting the current affairs and giving a different perspective to the news stories?
Exactly the same thing that happened to Steven Spielberg on Jaws. You don't have the money to do the shark. We don't have the money to do explosions. So when Eric, the showrunner, the creator of the show, decided to do something about special agents, secret agents, we knew we had to do it the French way. And the French way is not the James Bond way. The French way is like, okay, we don't have money, so we have to be smart. And when you have to be smart, then you say, but these guys, they don't have fake watches and Aston Martins that flies. They take the subways next to us and we don't know who they are. So when you start to think like that and you're like, I don't need money to do that. And you can start very slowly to get people into your world before you start to go crazy and say, okay, that's not possible anymore. Because I love Homeland, but after season 2, she should be dead 10 times already. Come on. You can't. Every year you escape danger like that. Every year, no, you can't. So what he did is that he took he reverse engineered spy movies. He said, we're not going to do the work, you're going to do the work. We're going to come up with something very smart that looks like, if I'm in that situation, that's the way they would do it. They don't have missiles or anything. They just go on the web, chat on some stupid website. So how you do it, and when you go for it and you say, okay, this is my angle, then of course it's fascinating, because we are, since I'm born, I think that spies are James Bond. Daniel Craig is a spy. And no, that's not him. That's the guy next to him, the guy that you don't look at. And if you don't have an explosion today and there was no terrorism today in London or in Paris, it's because somebody did their job. And you don't even know, you will never know. So once he got that, he was on some, it's his passion. You have to be passionate about that. He worked very hard. He did the first movie about that like 25 years ago, called Les Patriotes. And that was the same kind of a boring movie with people waiting in cars and talking about things, and he redid it, and it worked. It worked.
And now on to our final Q&A question. This is a bit of a sneaky one, kind of putting two into one. But in terms of Haine, somebody's asked, where did the inspiration for the story that the old man in the toilet tells come from? And also, what's the significance of the cow?
Those are 2 questions I always get. The story is a real story. It's a true story that old man told me, because he was playing my grandfather in my first movie. And at the end of the shoot of the first movie of Metisse, we had like a rap party, and it was him and his friend, and they were talking and they were laughing, and I was a little drunk, and there was me with some crew members, and we were just talking to them, and they told us the story. They were in the train, and we like smile on our face, because they were telling the story with such a light way. And they say, hey, so what happened to your friends? And he said, he died. I was like, okay. And I was like, okay. So I remember that, he just told us that back in the days you could die because you had to take a shit. So when my friends came to me and they were like, yeah, we live in the ghetto, man, it's hard to live in the ghetto. I'm like, maybe you should remember what a ghetto is, and remember that you have a train that goes, you can go to Paris in 30 minutes. It's not the same thing. And you have to, so that's why I came up with that story. I said, I need, if my grandparents could tell those kids You know, if any grandparents could tell the kids, like, you know, this is what we went through, then, you know, maybe you're not going to complain because you don't have the next PS5. Or even if, because I make a joke, but even if your life is hard, and if you live in the ghetto, and if you live in a tough environment, there's always ways to get out. There's not the guy with a gun waiting for you to you know, to shoot you if you cross the border. You can get out, but you have to work really hard. And you cannot complain too much. You have to stop complaining. That's what that scene is all about. He says, you know, don't complain too much. And what there was last, the cow, the cow was because in France we have a saying that says, you know, in England you say pigs for cops. Okay, in France it's cow. So mort aux vaches, kill the cow, is an old anarchist slogan, you know, that my grandfather used to say. We had like 3 dots here for the prisoners that said mort aux vaches, death to the cows.
That's amazing.
So, and I know, just to finish, and because when the first day I went to that project, I came and I was driving to the project and I saw a circus. There was a circus right in front of but not a circus. It was not put up like a circus. They were just picnicking, and they had like a couple of camels and, you know, just laying and just eating grass in front of and I came in, I was like, what is this? What is this place? And if the first day I came in, I could see that, and means that I can do whatever I want, and I can put the llama, I can put an elephant in that fucking thing, you know, anything I want, because I just saw it. So I decided to put the cow because it makes a lot of political sense, and I hope it made my grandfather happy.
I'm sure that's an amazing story to end on. And unfortunately, I think that's all we have time for, even though I know so many people had so many questions. But thank you so much, Mathieu, for your wonderful answers and for giving us your time. And thank you to everyone who joined the call and asked amazing questions.
Thank you very much, everybody, and talk to you in 25 years.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much. It's been amazing. Please like our Facebook page for more updates and opportunities. We have a double bill of events in the coming weeks. On the 24th of March at 7 p.m, we will be speaking to renowned actor Clark Peters. To register for the Q&A, go to our Facebook event, or the link is in our Instagram bio.
Thank you again. Hope you have a great rest of your evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.